Morning, coffee moaners, morning, Saturday moaners, morning, everyone, morning. Welcome on podcast, welcome on YouTube, welcome from the moon, welcome wherever you're streaming us. If you're on a great big fat screen, we've come to get you. Morning, everyone. How are we all? What a fucking week that was. Anyone who follows the channel, follows the family, you'll know we had our dear friend Hannah's funeral. And then that was rapidly followed by the unexpected and shocking death of a very close family friend and nanny to our girls, really. More of a nanny than their nannies, in a way. Pat, some of you will know from early days. She used to pop up in some of our early vlogs. But yeah, just 2026. Let's put it back where it came frometh, shall we? Shall we just shove it away? Get rid of it? Morning, Al Zaran. Hope you're well. Hopefully see something like Gagosian very soon. So we're going to trot through the news today. It feels like, I don't know if anyone else feels like this, it feels like we're on the edge of something. There's a good old-fashioned, slightly rude term called rimming, and I feel like we're rimming, globally rimming. We've been taken to the edge with Greenland and just pulled back from the edge. We were taken towards Iran at one point, and then we were dragged back from Iran. We have a continuation of the erosion of civil liberties and the creation of a Stasi-like militia in America. That seemed to be intense, but the news flow around that, even that seems to have subsided. Is this are we in the middle of the great big beast that is the American empire as it cracks and falls apart, but in so doing destroys huge swathes of the world? Are we in a sort of inhalation? You know, when we're doing a workout and you have to kind of pause and just go like that. Does anyone else feel there's just a momentary pause, a little, not too dissimilar to like when there's an earthquake and the birds go quiet? Because it's coming. And I don't know if you remember earlier in the week or towards the end of last week, my God, the news flow. Did we have a military invasion of Greenland on the table this week? Then with NATO, then Europe, then it's gone. Now it's gone. I think that all happened this week, didn't it? I feel something is coming. Hope, love, peace. I mean, it's a pretty safe bet. Something's coming with this bunch. There's always something coming, just to keep us on our toes. So I thought I would Toffee. Stop it. That's our dogs. That's our lovely cockapoo. She's just licking herself. So yeah, I just want to show you this clip. So this is a latest clip. This is kind of, I suppose this is encouraging, but also it's kind of frightening too, because it shows you the level of upset and outrage and distress that's been caused by Donald Trump in America. Here's some footage. I'll just turn the volume down because it's quite raucous. General strike. This was recorded yesterday. Quite a number of people. They were looking at quite a few people. And I think one of the things that a number of people are saying needs to happen is that what you're hearing, what you're seeing, there's a huge crowd in Minnesota yesterday, is a strike. A sort of general strike. Everyone just needs to stop working. Everyone needs to stop the levers of power earning revenue, whether it be content creation, so there are no adverts to go up, whether it be typing, whether it be Ubering. Everyone needs to stop. But how do you get everyone to stop when half the people don't want to stop and don't care? What do you do when huge swathes of the global population don't mind that they are essentially bound, gagged, and enslaved by the system? What do you do when you go down Witherspoons and they go, oh, don't, that's just too much. It's too much. No, just have a pint. Let's forget it. I mean, I remember doing that years ago when I was younger. What makes one care and what makes one not? Do you know what I mean? The only way to be heard is not through violence. They've got you. Through non-violent protest, they've got you now, haven't they? But what about just stopping? I think Nadia had this idea, didn't she, a while back, just sitting down and staying sitting. That would be the only way to be heard. Oh, I've read that, Hope, Love, Peace. It's terrifying that people don't care. I find it terrifying, Shem. I mean, I know Nadia's always like, oh, got to be careful. It's not for everyone. Well, if it's not for everyone, then you're part and parcel of the problem. Because it's those who are kind of, you know, and look, don't get me wrong. You know, people like living in ignorant bliss. If their circumstances, okay, let's think about it. I'm just thinking, I'm only using my mom as an example because I know, and she's at home and she's okay. She's not great, but she's okay. You know, she's engaged, but she's not engaged. She doesn't want to get engaged more than she's engaged. But if your circumstances are, when I say comfortable, I mean just kind of, you know, just trotting along. I think people are just happier just trotting along, accepting their lot. I heard someone the other day say to me, sorry for this philosophical ramble at the front of the news. Someone we know the other day said, oh, I wish such and such. It was a friend of a friend whose partner said, oh, I'm going to die soon. And they're the same age as me. And they're like, oh, I'm going to go first. Like, as we were having the conversation, I got really alarmed because I was thinking, well, or maybe I'm missing a trick. Is that the right way to think of one's life? Just like it's something to get through. Is it really? Is that really the best way to think? Oh, it's just something to get through. And, you know, when people go, well, I ain't going to make it past 60. And you're like, well, how are you happy with that? Why don't you do something about it? Not like in a panic-stricken, reverse the clock, but the inevitability. Why would you, with one roll of the dice that we know of, why would you just... I mean, look, don't get me wrong, Shem, you're right. There are moments where you have to turn off. And maybe the moments when you turn off are the moments when other people have turned on. And there's a mismatch there. And it's easy for the person who's turned on to turn around to the person who's turned off just for that moment and go, why are you always turned off? But all the turned off person needs to say is, I'm not always turned off. Some are only worried about their plans for the weekend. I mean, I remember a time when I was only worried about the weekend. I was about 20. It's like, oh, what's happening this weekend? I was actually in my mid-20s. It's weird. When I was at college, I was more grown up. Then I became a parent, more grown up, and then split up with my partner and became a complete fucking moron. Oh, it's weekend. But I think part of that was because I didn't do all of that when I was supposed to when I was a teenager. We need to enjoy every day, Clodagh, to honor the young people who've gone before us. I agree. It baffles me beyond belief, says Charlene Evans, that some people are still unaware of Gaza. And if you mention it, they almost put their fingers in their ears like they've been burnt. So in the spirit of those of us who get frustrated when people don't listen to Gaza, I'm going to play you this clip from the man who used to be, I think, the head of Human Rights Watch. And he will explain to all of us why we shouldn't see the Board of Peace and the master plan for Gaza and the opening of the Rafah crossing as a good thing. He's going to put it very simply, and you can record this and you can share it with those people who go, no, I don't want to know. I just want to get to Wetherspoons this weekend. And I say Wetherspoons because our family love Wetherspoons.
Trying to kill every single Palestinian. It's trying to kill enough Palestinians and create conditions of life that are sufficiently unsuitable to life that it will force the 2 million Palestinians in Gaza to flee to Egypt. That's the ultimate aim here. This is genocide for the purpose of forced deportation or ethnic cleansing. It's still genocide, even though only a part of the Palestinian people are being killed. And we have to understand that. That's what the legal definition encompasses, and that's what's going on.
So I'm not saying this patronizingly and facetiously to you guys. Is there anyone you know who couldn't understand that? So what's going to happen now as Netanyahu and all those absolute wankwads in Israel say, the Rafah crossing's open, it's clear, it's open. We're going to make biometric centers where unless you sign up to having your eyes and your DNA and your fingerprints read, you can't get... I mean, this is chilling. This is 2000 AD. 2000 AD? Judge Dredd. It's all that stuff, isn't it? We're entering Judge Dredd territory. I always remember Judge Dredd being one of those comics that always gave me a chill because it felt possible. Sarah D, many, unfortunately. So they don't have to kill all Palestinians for a genocide to happen, because guess what, guys? Here's a fucking breaking news story. there was a Holocaust and not all Jewish people died. You can't have it both ways, Netanyahu and all of you Zionists. You can't say, well, if we were doing a genocide, we'd have done it more successfully. No, because you could argue that by that standard, Hitler didn't successfully commit a Holocaust because he didn't kill all Jews, did he? So a Holocaust or a genocide isn't about killing everyone. It's about an attempt to kill everyone, erode the cultural foundations of a race and get them ethnically moved. Right? And that is exactly what we're at. We're at that stage now. So when people like Starmer and Blair talk about, well, we're really, really pleased about phase 2. We really want to move from the ceasefire on towards, gotta be crystal clear. Crystal clear. We need to use the ceasefire. There is no fucking ceasefire. And phase 2 is a administrative wash to legitimize a continuation of the genocide. I just wanted to play that to you. Just kind of tells us where we're at. So there you go. So let's hit the news, baby, shall we? We've had a philosophical ramble. I have hope Palestine will prevail. Palestine will be free. Watermelon. I wish I did. I really do. But when you see such villains in the piece, you just go, where, how, where? Who's rescuing them in the final act? Who's going to rescue the Palestinians in the final act? Al-Zoran, my black grandfather was caught up in the horrors of Hitler. It wasn't just Jewish people. Thank you for clarifying that as well, Al-Zoran. We can sometimes forget it was gay, it was disabled, it was political dissidents, it was anyone of any untoward, not mainstream, not Aryan, not mainstream persuasion. So thank you again, Al-Zoran. Thank you. And in fact, it's a really interesting point you make there. No one ever talks about black people, as in just black people, not black Jewish, black people caught up in World War II. You might have hit upon a project there that maybe needs to be made, which I think would be more meaningful in many ways than Steve McQueen's The Blitz, which I thought was terrible. Okay, well, let's move to the headlines. Well, the biggest news story this morning, unfortunately, is Iran warns any attack will mean all-out war after Trump says US Armada is on its way. Obviously, Armada is the word of the day. He probably thinks he's invented it. He probably is in the bath playing with boats. He's like, why don't we send the Armada? Let's just send lots and lots of boats. Mr. President, it's called, Pete Hegseth standing in the doorway. Mr. President, it's called an Armada. It's such a great word. Why don't you use that word, sir? I'm going to use the word Armada. Sounds great. Sounds like tomato, but I'll use that. So this is Iran. Donald Trump said on Thursday that the US had an Armada heading toward Iran, but hoped he would not have to use it. Quite literally, it's a play set that he's going brum, 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 except it's splosh, 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 splosh. And he's trying to get them as close as possible. Oh, threat. Is he going to? I mean, the problem is you don't want to say to Donald Trump, you lily-livered chicken. You yellow-bellied, lily-livered chicken. He bailed out. I'll tell you why he bailed out of Greenland. Not because Starmer found his testicles tasered or stapled to the ceiling of 10 Downing Street and unpicked them for a minute. Oh, no. The West, countries such as Europe, China, Germany, I think, were about to ditch loads of bonds and treasury stocks that are basically America's debt pile. The rest of the world could destroy America financially by just selling all of the kind of bonds and what have you that essentially are American debt. So that would be fun, wouldn't it? Did I understand Mark's question? I thought he said, do we know people that wouldn't understand what the manager said? I know many ignorant people who don't believe what's... Yeah, that's exactly what I asked. If you played that to someone you know who goes, I don't really understand, it's too complicated, and then just played that to them, would they go, still don't understand it? Well, of course they would. I mean, there's so many people who don't understand anything. Mango Mussolini, I like that, Don Holland. That's really good. So it's happening. Iran's going to happen. I said it earlier in the week. I said something along the lines of he wanted them to think it was going to happen. Then he pulled back because he wanted to regain the element of surprise. He's kind of lost it again by saying the Armada's heading there. So it could happen tonight, it could happen tomorrow night, but that's what they want. They want fear and awe, is it? Goth and awe and something or other. Awe and something, isn't that what they do? These fucking military, it's like we want them to be awestruck and fearful all the time. So we'll keep your eyes and ears on Iran. Could be about to kick off. Iran have fired back with this, not literally. A senior Iranian official has warned that the country will treat any attack as an all-out war against us ahead of the arrival of a US aircraft carrier strike group and other assets in the region. Do you know what? Sometimes I just want to say in a very sort of un-PC way, just give Israel a good old smacking at their military bases. They're so arrogant. They're so cocksure. They're so cocky. It's just like, you know, you can't maraud around the Middle East, Israel, like you do with Big Daddy. Ooh, he the daddy. Holding Big Daddy's hand, allowing you to do it. Someone needs to give you a good slap. Al-Zaran, I love this story. It's a crazy story with a twist that few would believe. He was released by the Nazis due to a talent he had. Crazy but true. Fuck me. This sounds like you don't have to do much more than you've got a pitch for a movie there. Get it in. What's it called? The Blacklist or something, isn't it? I know many who choose to disengage. You know what? If I would just sit with someone, if they say I disengage, I say, all right, well, I'm going to disengage from whatever your passion is, even if it's fucking Marks and Spencer's Marks and Spencer's custard tarts. Not having one. So no. So yeah, so lots of saber rattling over there. But the big story on the front of all the papers is Starmer has once again found his voice. Starmer rebukes Trump over frankly appalling remarks on NATO troops in Afghanistan. How do you all feel about this, guys? Draft dodger Trump, PM. Prime Minister joins veterans in condemning the claim that Trump made that NATO troops avoided the front lines and suggests that US President should apologize. Keir Starmer has issued an unprecedented rebuke to Donald Trump for his insulting and frankly appalling remarks about British troops in Afghanistan. He said, I will never forget their courage, their bravery, and the sacrifice they made for their country. There are many also who were injured, some with life-changing injuries. And so I consider President's remarks to be insulting and frankly appalling. It was Trump's suggestion earlier in the week that NATO troops had stayed a little off the front lines in Afghanistan, which prompted widespread condemnation. And then he went on to say he never thought or he didn't think NATO troops would come to the defense of America. It is insulting. It's insulting to the memories and the lives of those who lost their lives. Ironically and interestingly, per capita, I think Denmark lost the biggest number of troops relative to the number of troops that were kind of stationed in the Afghanistan war. But this is over all the papers. Prince Harry has hit out at Trump over Afghanistan slur. Sacrifices of British soldiers and their families should be spoken about truthfully, says Duke. You're right there, draft dodger Janina M. Draft dodging Trump should not criticize British troops, says US soldiers. Veterans say president risks isolating America from allies with remarks on Afghanistan. So yeah, there you have it. I saw Me Too. Thank you for quite a few comments under the Green podcast. Obviously, the Green Party really isn't your cup of tea. Haven't seen you be quite so vociferous anywhere else. But yeah, no, it was interesting to read. So thanks for watching it. I just want to, on the draft dodger, we've got that very odd looking man at the moment because he looks like he's not comfortable. He looks like he's slightly on edge, but he looks like he lives in just gold. I think he's got the same gold tastes as Trump. But let's hear from that political saber-toothed tiger, Rod Stewart.
Hi there. I may just be a humble rock star. I'm also a knight of the realm, and I have my opinions. I was born just after the war and have great respect for our armed forces that fought and gave us our freedom. So it hurts me badly, deeply, when I read that the draft dodger Trump has criticised our troops in Afghanistan for not being on the front line. We lost over 400 of our guys. Think of their parents. Think about it. And Trump calls them almost like cowards. It's unbearable. So I'm calling on you, Prime Minister Starmer and Farage, please make the draft dodger Trump apologise. Please.
High on production values there. Well, you know, can't disagree. So noticed there was a strong edit. There was a strong edit, wasn't there? As he said, for Starmer and Farage. I mean, did they cut out Kemi Badenoch, do you think? How many innocent children? Yeah, thank you very much, Watermelon. How many innocent children, men, women, and men and women were killed by these British and Western countries in Afghanistan? Yes, we hardly garlanded ourselves, our troops, in honor. But one has to sort of reiterate that's not necessarily the fault of every or any of the individual casualties' families. So one just has to tread carefully. Death is not desirable for anyone. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting what you say there, Watermelon, because I don't know if anyone saw it. There was a film that was released last year called Warfare, co-directed by Alex Garland, who did Civil War. It was a fascinating procedural, I thought, following a unit in Iraq as they basically sought to take a house, to hold some land, and the extraordinary manpower, machinery, everything, complexity of just doing that. But I felt it was a film that in the end was saying war really is futile, just like World War I was, millions dead for meters of land. I thought Warfare did a similar job of saying even modern warfare can be totally devastating in so many different ways. For what? You don't even gain anything at the end of it other than chaos. But what I think you talk to, Watermelon, is I found it really hard to relate to these soldiers in warfare, because I can't help but feel telling the story, or an empathetic story from any angle, about a Western military unit isn't just part of then the propaganda machine of kind of legitimizing what we've done around the world. Now, of course, where that becomes problematic, and it did for me watching the film, as it does around World War I, is how much is the global political situation actually the responsibility of the soldiers in question? What sort of lives have the soldiers that are in those battalions led, where for whatever reasons, opportunity, strife, issues have led them to go down the route of joining the army? How much can we hold them responsible? How much is it them even being there the responsibility of the state? So I think it's interesting. It's interesting, isn't it, how, you know, this story, yes, one feels an automatic human empathetic reach out for the families of those who were killed. But then you look, you pull out, you zoom out from the details of them, and you're looking at tens of thousands of millions of brown people that no one gives a flying monkey's fuck about. Do you get me? No, I get it, Shakir Al-Bad. I know it's not forced conscription, but I do think that I used to go out with a woman whose father was an army conscriptor. And he wasn't a bad guy. I mean, we didn't see eye to eye on anything, and he always tried to humiliate me playing golf, and it was horrendous. But he made a valid point that many of the boys he saw coming in to sign up, it's not forced conscription, but their opportunities, their social opportunities were so narrow, they felt it was their only choice. And I think, you know, until you've stepped in someone else's shoes, it's easy to just say that. But I have to persist with the thought, that the final thought that I arrived at, which is no one gives a fuck about brown people or ethnic people or foreigners and the numbers. I mean, it's just awful. Charlene Evans, blame the people at the top starting these wars, not the ordinary people that they make fight them. Charlene Evans. Yeah, you know, I think all of these emotions are absolutely right for this. Yesterday, I was talking briefly about Starmer and the possibility of a challenge. For any of our international followers, this is quite nuanced. This is the possibility of the Manchester mayor, Andy Burnham, being able to run in a by-election due to a resigning Labour MP. And if he was to run for Labour and win the seat, he is widely talked about as a possible contender for against Keir Starmer as leader of the Labour Party and potentially Prime Minister of the UK. My wife, Nadia, if you don't know who she is, she's the woman in the other room, is going to be cooking at 11 o'clock with Dina. She's a big fan of Andy Burnham, though when I press her on what is she a fan of in terms of what he is, I think she just likes him. I just think she likes his way. But as we know, that can mean nothing in politics. So I haven't heard him be outspoken against the Israeli genocide. I haven't heard him seen him call it a genocide. I don't know if he is in the pay of the Labour Friends of Israel. And the reason that matters is, though no one else will want us to talk about it, if you have a politician that is compromised by Israeli, Labour Friends of Israel financial lobby group, pressure, they are unfit for me. As far as I'm concerned, they are unfit to serve, or they are certainly unfit to have any influence on Middle Eastern Arab world politics. So Andy Burnham, I think most people on the left and who were Labour, I was a Labour Party member, feel a sort of softness of sorts for Andy Burnham. He feels like he's more of an original kind of Labour guy. He's a bit more like not Yvette Cooper, I can't stand her, but he's a bit more like Angela Rayner. He's a bit more like Angela Rayner. It's sort of, you feel he's come from a real life, so he might have some relatability when it comes to making choices about the way people live. But already Starmer is wetting himself. The gimp Starmer is squeaking loudly in the upstairs bedroom at 10 Downing Street. Oh God, get me in this suit tighter, zip it up, zip it up. Angela Rayner will back Burnham in campaign for Commons comeback. There's a photograph of them both singing. The right-wing press just wanted to show them as kind of, louche kind of, yeah. Whereas what the right-wing mainstream media in this country really likes in a politician is a long tie that keeps going to the floor. And then when it hits the floor, it just keeps going out the door. Our right-wing media only you can only really do politics if you're wearing a tie. You've got to be wearing a tie. Men in ties have tied this world up in knots. So lots of chatter about whether Andy Burnham is returning. There they are on the campaign trail. Starmer faces pressure not to block Andy Burnham's return to Parliament. I mean, how would that look? That's not footy. Well, it is a bit. I mean, imagine if, so this is the suggestion that Starmer is wanting to kind of not allow him to run. Imagine that. But the other problem they've got, the Labour Party, they're so staggeringly fucking unpopular that the seat that Andy Burnham could run in, he might not win it anyway. He could be given a good run for his money by the Greens, or a Gaza, a sort of anti the genocide in Gaza candidate too, and Reform. So there's absolutely no guarantee that he could win that seat. There is even chatter, could do with maybe dropping Zach Balansky a text. There's chatter that Zach Balansky could be considering it also as a possible. This is a by-election, basically. You can only run for leadership of the party if you're a member of Parliament. So yeah, Robert. I mean, I've always liked Burnham. I mean, he's the kind of guy when I was drinking, I'd gone, yeah, I'll see you for a drink. But I do worry that when you dig in and around some of the topics that are key, you can't hear it. It's in Manchester. I'm not entirely sure which, but it's in Manchester. Let me see if it says here. Let me just get rid of a couple of these stories. Starmer faces pressure not to block Andy Burnham. The Prime Minister's allies have been trying to prevent Burnham's return as a candidate in the Greater Manchester seat of Gorton and Denton, amid fears he could challenge the leadership. It's so funny as well, because as soon as Andy Burnham's name has come up, and he is kind of more old Labour than new Labour, all the right-wing press keep going, now the true colours of Labour are coming out. What the fuck? What about the true colours of fascist Farage? What? The true colours of what? Him being supported by unions that look after the rights of workers. Oh God, how fucking awful. Again, I take us back to the thing I said in the podcast with Zach Balansky. My nan's generation, totally manipulated by the right-wing legacy mainstream media, just telling us that anyone who was part of the trades unions was a loony left. Oh, yeah. What are they actually about? They're actually about trying to get better conditions for the vast majority of workers. What is wrong with that? But no, already the Times today, oh, Andy Burnham reveals the true origins of the Labour Party haven't moved. Do one. But you don't mind Farage, having been a fascist at school, nudged all politics towards fascism and supporting a fascist president. That's all right. What a load of cocks. So I hope Andy Burnham gets in. US immigration agents detain 2-year-old Minnesota girl. Depravity beyond words. It's gone from 4-year-old to a 5-year-old, now a 2-year-old. A 2-year-old. I kid you not. Let me read you this story. DHS, Department of Homeland Security, detained a toddler and her father on Thursday and flew them to Texas before returning the child on the judge's order. Imagine that. Imagine a 2-year-old kid. Imagine a 2-year-old kid being flown back, presumably with a guardian of some form. They'll have given us someone in uniform with a taser and with a pepper spray to look after her on the way back. The father, identified in court filings as Elvis Joel T.E., and his daughter was stopped, detained around 1 p.m. when they were returning home from the store. By the evening, a federal judge had ordered the girl to be released by 9:30 p.m. But federal officials instead put both of them on a plane heading to a Texas detention center. And this is the order of the day. We're seeing all the footage of people being, taken on the streets, attacked, pepper spray sprayed into people's eyes at close quarters. But we're not hearing about where do they all go? Where are they? Where have they gone? Where are they putting them? Where are these detention centers? What are the conditions like in them? Are there no phones in there so that people can get footage out? So this is just yet another catastrophic bit of PR, I think, for the American. But you know what? We're dealing with a situation in America now where the vast majority of people who are behind ICE will look at that and go, yeah, well, a dad's obviously a bad un. There's always a get around, isn't there? For anyone who doesn't want the exhausting energy required to feel empathy, I think that's how people think it. They go, oh, I can't be bothered to care about other people. I know she's a sweet 2-year-old, but fuck it. No, her dad must have been a bad one. It'll be, no, it's all right. I think on balance, it's only one. It's only one 2-year-old. That's how people think before they tuck back into their ginsters or ginsters fucking beef fucking rolly or whatever it is. Jesus Christ. I'm getting to the point now where I'm going to tool up and just go marching. It's ridiculous. People are fucking morons. So many people are such morons, so hateful and uncaring. This is interesting, though. Repatriate the gold. German economists advise withdrawal from US vaults. I thought this was an interesting story, This is the story that because relationships with America have become so fucking dodgy, unsurprisingly, since the whole, I want Greenland. It's made of ice. I'll call it Iceland. There's already an Iceland, which is not green. Where is Greenland? Is there a Greenland? Because of that, because of Venezuela, because of Trump's threat of tariffs, you just never know whether he's going to land back in the States, forget what he said, and put them all back in. So I find this interesting. So anyway, so what are the Germans doing? So the Germans shift in relationships and unpredictability of Donald Trump make it risky this is about literally storing gold. This isn't about the price of gold. This isn't about people rushing to put their savings into gold, because that's what usually happens when the world is a fragile, febrile place. This is about literally the Germans thinking, we need to literally withdraw like 1,236 tons of gold the Germans have in New York. And when I read this, I thought, this is how global politics suddenly becomes like a movie. This is like a heist. You could see Trump going, you can't have your gold. Or when Germany says, can we have the gold that's in the bottom of the bank in New York, please, JP Morgan? And Trump goes, sort of stands in front of the pillars and the gold elevator. What gold is that? Can we have our gold? Can't we have our gold back, please? What gold are you talking about? There was no gold. We've got none of your gold here. Yes, we have 1,236 tons of gold. No gold. I mean, I know there's gold floor. And those gold walls, this is our gold. It's not your gold. So I just thought it was interesting that literally people are thinking, let's get our fucking gold out of fucking America, because the portcullis could come down in such a way that Trump goes, no, any gold here is our gold. We're going to keep everything, especially if the rest of the world starts to threatens to sell US debt. Ooh, baby, would you like it like that? Okay. Oh, on that. Oh, hang on. Trump's armada faces Iran's new China-fueled missiles. Tehran's rebuilding of its strike capability. This is the Telegraph trying to make out that Iran is a worthy target. Oh, yawn. But look, good old Starmer, RAF fighter jets sent to Qatar as Iran tensions mount. 4 Typhoons sent to Gulf in case Trump hits Iran. Am I right in thinking, do we not need to okay this with the British public or with Parliament, rather than just sending our jets and engaging in what would amount to war with Iran? Will we be consulted? Are we asked where the money we give the government for defense goes and what they do with it? Do we have any say? They're not just going out there just to kind of, buy themselves a Ginster's cheese rolly. Oh, this is funny. Oh, hang on. Well, before we go to that, look, let me just give you this quote from Trump's niece. She's doing the rounds.
Noticing now that makes you feel that something has changed?
It's not so much that things have changed qualitatively. It's just that things seem to be rapidly getting worse. I think that Donald has had undiagnosed, untreated psychiatric disorders for many, many years, predating his first administration. But given his advancing age, clearly there seem to be some indications that he has some cognitive issues, hence all of the cognitive tests he's taking and the MRIs we've heard about, but have no specific information about. And just his behavior, the way he speaks, his inability to rein himself in, his inability to stay on topic. And oftentimes it seems that he's not exactly aware of where he is or the audience he's speaking to.
I also just wanted to read to you something that he just posted on social media. Okay, he writes, record numbers all over the place. Should I try for a 4th term? So he puts that in all caps. Now, this is something that just gets to the heart of, people on the left are going to say, look at him, he's trying to become a dictator. And on the right, they're going to say, can't you take a joke? Okay, how do you see it?
Well, Donald doesn't really have a sense of humor. So I think we're long past the time that we can pretend that he's kidding when he says he wants to stay in office. Also, I find it a little alarming that he thinks he had a 3rd term already when he hasn't. But the truth of the matter is he's a lame duck president. And it doesn't matter. He is causing untold harm to this country. And I think at this point, we need to start focusing on our attention on the people who are allowing that to happen, the enablers. And I think this is one of the biggest problems we're seeing on the world stage. We look at Donald and we talk about his unfitness, his psychological issues, his perhaps neurological decline, his cognitive decline. But other world leaders look at the United States as the problem. We have almost 78 million people, put him back into office. We have an entire party dedicated to keeping him in power and enabling him, as well as a corrupt, illegitimate supermajority of the Supreme Court that is giving him imperial power.
Fucking hell. She's a good Trump. She talks well. I don't know. I lots of people say he's a lame duck president. I don't sign up to that description of him. Lame duck, i.e. he can't do anything. I think he is just... I think, like she said, there are 78 million people who voted for him. Okay, not all of them are still behind him necessarily. But this isn't just Trump. It's like when we always go for Netanyahu and we're told that if you're in any way critical of the wider, broader Israeli government or Israeli culture's attitude to the Palestinians, you're anti-Semitic. It's blood libel. It's the same thing. I mean, look, I've got huge numbers of people who I love who are American. I've had many American friends over the years. I've got American friends. There are many Americans whose values I like, celebrities, ordinary campaigners, activists, etc. But Christ almighty, like it will be, like you have the right to say to us, what the fuck are you guys doing about reform? What the fuck are you guys doing about Trump? Because when he talks about a fourth term, it is odd, because what he's inferring in that is that his third, he should have, he's saying, I won the election between my 2 terms, but I didn't serve it. I mean, it's so fucking fucked in the head. So yeah, okay, well, that's different though, isn't it? You didn't, it wasn't your term. You weren't calling the shots. But when he says he wants a 4th term, which in real world means a 3rd term, he means it. He means it. Her name is Mary Trump. Yeah, his niece. She's definitely a good person. Donnie is gunning for her. I just don't agree. I don't agree he's a lame duck. I think he's a really convenient, conveniently unpredictable, volatile leader who does a lot, who is useful to all of those behind him in kind of shattering peace agreements, wrecking the kind of status quo. You know, all of this is said in the same breath as saying all of this. I also believe that the status quo in the system, it needs change. I just don't think it needs change in the way that Trump is wanting it to happen. That's where I disagree with you, Michu. I think there needs to be some, whether it be Zach Polanski, whether he's, you know, in the end, will he be able to have the power or the nous to be able to do it? But we need someone who's willing to question the very nature of the system we operate within. And if that means communes a la your party, if that means more rights for workers and however that trickles down, you know, it needs to happen. The system only serves globally a few. And just because it serves us generally as a country more at the moment, it won't always. It won't always. Okay, so moving on to a couple of lighter issues. I thought this was funny. You can run, but you can't hide from Instagram's marathon police. I thought this was chilling for anyone who's a runner or a marathon runner or anything like that.
Hi, everybody. Sorry to interrupt. Hiya. Cody Cook's going to be 11:30 instead.
Oh, okay.
Have you done a thing? I can't find the link.
No, I haven't actually.
Okay.
No, I'll do it.
Yeah.
All right, sweetie.
Hi, subs.
Hi, subs. 11:30 for Curly's. That's a photograph there of Casey O'Gorman, former Love Island contestant, who shares his Strava stats, which are 9 minutes faster than his official place. This story both made me laugh, but then I thought, fucking hell, what kind of person does this? So if you can believe it, let me keep him up whilst I tell you what the story is. So you can run, but you can't hide. A group calling itself the Official Marathon Time Integrity Unit has split the running world by highlighting times that purportedly don't match official data. For many runners, a marathon is not finished until they've posted a photo. An integrity unit is patrolling social media of the likes of Casey O'Gorman to find Instagram influencers who are pulling a fast one, maybe shaving a couple of minutes off or suggesting they ran 7 minutes faster. I couldn't believe that there are people. If Casey O'Gorman, or whatever his name is, wants to tell me he ran the marathon in 2 hours, I couldn't give a monkey's jollop. I'd be like, oh, well done. That's brilliant. I could not be asked to go searching online to check whether he was telling the truth. Because at the end of the day, if he's not telling the truth, who's he kidding? He's only cheating himself. At the end of the day, who are you cheating? Who are you deceiving? And who are you letting down more? Letting down more? Yourself. I just thought this spoke to the small-mindedness of so many people. Styling themselves as the OMTIU, the Official Marathon Time Integrity Unit, an anonymous group of friends who've decided to take a stand after becoming frustrated by influencers bragging about times that didn't match their chip-based results. Now, it says the OMTIU says it has 30,000 followers, and it alerts them when it finds content creators and other runners who've posted faster times from Strava or smartwatches. I'm sorry. The only reason you could be bothered, all 30,000 of you, to do that is because you're worried someone might have run a bit faster than you. Who cares? Charlie Nevers, what the fuck? Who cares as we all get blown off the... I mean, I love running, and I'm going to be taking it up again this year. Don't run too much. I've done 5 marathons, an ultra marathon, about 12 half marathons. Too many marathons, you destroy your legs. And I like, you know, I'll always kind of give grace to a runner. But I tell you what, I've noticed runners are becoming as arrogant and as aggressive as some fucking cyclists. And there's a particular type of runner that really annoys me. You're on the South Bank, it's clearly busy, it's a pedestrian place, families are out, people are trying to battle with the cost of just buying a coffee and a sandwich on the South Bank, so they're kind of just on the pavement walking around. And then you get 2 or 3 runners running and huffing and puffing because they have to weave around the crowds. One ramp was right on my tail the other day, sort of going, oh, yeah. I was like, and I turned around and said, why don't you fucking run on the road? Because then you won't get annoyed. It's been a difficult week. It's been a difficult week. And finally, stop right now. Thank you very much. I need some money for my lunch. Brooklyn Beckham given a shock ultimatum by fuming Nicola Peltz after mum Victoria's inappropriate wedding dance. I think we've got to remind ourselves of the Beckham scandal. There's 2 sides to every story. It's easy to just condemn the straight face. I find it irritating as well. We talked about how Victoria's face is odd, but that could be a manifestation of social anxiety. I find David Beckham's face odd, but that could just be because he's squeezed so many strange cushions under his cheeks and into his eyebrows. But don't forget, what's her name? Brooklyn's wife, Nicola Peltz. Nicola Peltz's dad was or is very high up in Unilever and was or is responsible for disallowing Ben & Jerry's from supporting or opposing, rather, supporting the strife of supporting Palestinians and opposing the genocide. So Nicola Peltz's family are implicated in supporting the Israeli regime. So I'm not saying that should make you take sides, but I don't know. It just tells you the kind of, I don't know, the kind of world or environment perhaps one half of the equation has come from. But one thing I would like to say about the whole sorry saga of the Beckhams, and I can't remember, I saw some influencer mention this the other day. Isn't it interesting how the press always holds the women responsible? There's no talk about Brooklyn's input. There's no talk about David's input. They're always kind of put to the side. It's always, the focus is always on the bitchiness between the women. Again, misogyny, just like the Meghan Markle story. You know, Harry's always the sort of innocent one, the victim, the one that it happens to by Meghan or by the others. But the women are always kind of presented as having an agenda. Anyway, there you go. That's your lot. So as Nadia just said, Curly Cuts is going to be 11:30, not 11 o'clock. That means I can put my feet up and have a great big slap up coffee and a little stroke and a play with my toffee girl because she's lovely. All right, my lovelies. Thanks for all of your comments. Thanks for tolerating my gruffness and see you later, alligator.